All right, we are live. There you go. Watch what you say, Sheila. This will get you canceled before you even
stop
begin.
my slur of profanities here.
Yeah. You know how we do behind the scenes. It's so funny. I actually did just have an event that let Kat know, my assistant, make sure he's not swearing from the stage. And she's like, he has like a no profanity in the office clause, right? Like, this is not the guy. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, I'm that guy. I don't have a problem with it. Look, I live in the Northeast. Everybody's every other word is the F-bomb. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not me. It's not.
Yeah.
It's just not my. I don't care. Like, don't feel like you have to censor yourself in front of me. It's just not me. Like when the kids come over. By the way, guys, we're gonna start with the training in a minute. We're a few minutes early. We're letting everybody jump on. When my friends' kids come over, because my younger son, of course, has the whole school stay over every time they come over. I line them all up and they have to tell me the rules. And it is, you leave the house better than you found it. No swearing, or I will kill you slowly with a rusty spoon. And if you bring drugs into my house, you'll never be invited here again. And like, they literally have to repeat it to me. And so when there's new people, they're like, come here, Todd, let's let you know the rules, whatever. And it's actually a thing. So
this doesn't surprise me though.
I know
as you're saying this, I'm not actually surprised, but
it's just my thing. Like, I like the days when like kids would come over an adult's house and there were rules and you actually didn't sit there and, act like you were a character in Die Hard in front of the parent, I don't know when that stopped happening, but apparently it did. So
your son's friends call you Jared or Mr. James?
You know what's funny? The good ones call me Mr. James. So if any of them are watching right now, you guys know those are the ones I like. No, I'm just kidding. A lot of them call me Jared. Some call me Mr. James. I make my kids call other parents Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah, that was the rule for me growing up. So like even now, like my friends from high school and stuff, if I see their parents, it's still like Mr. and Mrs.
Yeah.
Whatever.
There's just something about it. Like, it's just whatever, call me old school, call me whatever you want. It's just the right way to do things. So anyway, guys, we are going to get started in a minute. We started a few minutes early here just because we needed to give everybody a chance. Cause obviously we're not doing like a traditional webinar where you go on and you have, a registration link and all these kind of things. So we know that this is a completely different thing for people. So we're just giving people a chance to get on here. Guys, this is going to be like a super value-packed training, like literally so practical. I was talking to Sheila yesterday. Sheila is the founder of Mosaic. I know you guys are not used to seeing me do a training with someone else, or even with someone obviously that's a founder of a company. But I can assure you, like, you're going to get a ton of value today. Sheila's literally like all the stuff she's going to give you, the practical strategies. She's going to give you a guide at the end of Playbook that literally outlines everything she talked about, that has verbatim, the messages to be sending, like all of that kind of stuff. So we're going to get started in a minute here. We're just going to give a chance for people to jump on here. Tom, I love it. I see that. He does. I can confirm. Yeah. Look, we can joke about anything. We just watch our mouths. That's all. So anyway, guys, this is going to be action-packed. It's going to be just filled with so much information, so much value for you guys at a time that, if you looked at the title of the topic, it is so needed right now. I didn't even check with you, Sheila, when we jumped on. Do I sound okay?
Yeah, you sound great.
We didn't test
your background is also very nice too. You didn't tell me we were going fancy background, so I kind
of whoa. Now I'm fancy.
Cell somewhere.
You look like you're in a cell. That's because when I talked to you yesterday, I just had regular.
Yeah, you just had regular. So it's like, casual backgrounds.
Oh,
no, but next time I know.
Yesterday, JJ was talking to you. Today, it's Jared James. That is
next time I know. Next time I know. I'm gonna come ready with like.
I swear, people who like jump on who don't know me at all, they're like, "This guy is such a prick," and I'm like, "I'm just kidding." Like, that's the joke. But no, I save it for this. I'm probably, Tom doesn't know this yet. We might be shooting a podcast today. Just letting him know right now that might be happening. But yeah, that's the background. I'm actually looking for right now a full-time like new studio just to do the podcast.
Oh, really?
Do it like Theo Von style, have like a specific space. So we shall see. Guys, we'll get started in 1 minute. I know it's 12:02. We're gonna get started in 1 minute. Just once again, just letting everybody jump on here. Guys, do me a favor as you're coming in right now. I'm looking at the chat. I recognize so many of you guys. As you're already doing, let me know where you're coming in from. It's so cool to see people from all over the country, really all over the world, but especially all over the country. And do us a big favor, because we're doing this for free right now. We're giving value. So law of reciprocation, give back to us. Hit that share button, invite someone in right now. You guys know that it's my life goal. We help realtors, we help mortgage people, we help real estate people, really run better businesses, which I think affect their lives. And this is one of those trainings I'm telling you, you're going to get so much from today. And you guys know I don't always say that. I don't think I really do trainings unless I know I'm going to be able to give value. But Sheila and I met yesterday, and the stuff that we're going to be going over is just, this is the answer to everything going on in the industry. So do us a favor, hit that like button, comment, let us know where you're coming from, and share this with your people. It would be, I've got no prize to give away today, but it would be just I would take it as a huge favor and just law of reciprocation. So with that being said, Sheila, do you want to get started? Are we good?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, then let me first off just let everybody know, Sheila, you want to take 2 seconds and just tell people who you are. They've probably heard me mentioning you. I've probably mentioned your company more than I've mentioned any other in the last year, and that's for good reason. So you want to just tell them who you are, and then I'll get going on my spiel.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm Sheila Reddy. I am the founder and CEO of Mosaic. We are a client experience platform for agents and teams. So our whole focus is on helping agents elevate the digital experience that their clients have and ensuring that they stay clients for life.
Nice. Sheila, just so you know, also has 2 versions. Like I talked about JJ and Jared James.
Oh, no.
Yeah, I am looking out at the bar that I think we hung out at until about 2 a.m. one night with a different version of Sheila. So that'll be a version that none of you will ever see.
About this, Jared.
Yes. Anyway, guys, so just to be clear again, because we're starting off now, you don't need to be a client of Mosaic. You don't need to sign up for Mosaic. You're going to get a ton of value today. Okay. The reason why I decided to bring Sheila on was because what their company does and what they believe in so just aligns with everything that I've been talking about for the last 5 years, that she was gracious enough to say, hey, I don't care whether people are customers or not. Like, I'll give them, the ingredients. Like, this is what you do. And so I want to be clear that at the end of this call, I am going to make an offer to you guys, and whether you take it or not, that's fine, but it is a pretty irresistible offer. But regardless, everything that we talk about, Sheila's been kind enough to put together a playbook that is going to word for word, verbatim, go over everything that she talks about. And whether you guys are customers or not, you're going to get that 100% free. Okay. So I just want to get that out of the way and make sure that you guys understand that I would not be doing this unless you're getting just ridiculous value. Okay. Now, just to kind of intro us in before we kind of get into those practical strategies, we need to kind of define the problem. And, unless you've had your head buried in the sand, if you're in real estate right now, you know that there's been a lot of stuff going on, and there's been a lot of chatter, and there's been a lot of people like me that have had to train on the idea of what do you do in a market like this? What do you do, not just in a market like this, but in a climate where, realtors are looked at like as if you're taking advantage of people. And, what do you say in this situation? There's lawsuits out there. How do you answer these questions? How do you, and I've gone all over the country and even the world, but especially the country, because that's where the changes have happened, and have let people know that, who really doesn't care about, your 3 different ways to overcome their objection about the settlement and everything else, is people that you've worked with over and over again. They will sign whatever you put in front of them quicker than a waiver at a bounce house. And the reason why we have to do this kind of training where we talk about, here's the verbatim what you say here, and here's how you overcome this, and here's how you answer this, is because so many of us are still running our businesses in a way where we're constantly having to chase new business. And I love new people. Believe me, that's how a business grows. But when that's the majority of your business, there's a problem. I've talked about for years this idea of the lifetime value of a client. And there is a left side of a transaction and a right side of a transaction. And that's why we're doing this training today, because I've talked about this for years, but now we're going to talk about what you do. And so you've got the left side of the transaction, which is pre-close, and you've got the right side of the transaction, which is post-close. And all the value is in post-close. And yet the majority of our time, energy, and money is spent on pre-close. Okay. And so we're going to talk about what that means. How do we change that? What are the strategies post-close? The fundamental shift I've talked about for years now is the idea that the transaction does not stop at the closing. It starts at the closing. And I say that, and a lot of people agree, and they're like, that's true. But again, when you look at, the disconnect between what we believe and how we act, they're two different things. Okay. It's like somebody in the club on Saturday night and church Sunday morning, the actions just don't equal the beliefs, And so in our business, that's kind of what we are, we're Sunday Christians. We are basically, we say we believe this. We say we believe in lifetime value. We say that we believe in, the things like, there's no such thing as past clients. But then the way we act in our business is different. And personally, just from talking to so many of you, it's not because you're bad people. You're not even sure what to do. When you talk to the majority of people about their database, they're on board and they're like, yeah, database. Oh yeah. Yeah. No such thing as past clients. Yeah. And then when you get deeper with them, they're like, I don't even know. I don't know what to say. Like, I don't know what to do. I went to a conference and you told me that I shouldn't be sending, the world's best apple pie recipe. And that was my, fire in the hole. Like, that's what I was using. Like, I don't know what to do now, And so that's why we're doing this training, is because we're going to really answer the question, what do you do post close, and make it very simple and very clear for you. And personally, I thought there was nobody better than Sheila to do that, because she literally built a company around that, around the idea of, in an age where you have all of these tech companies that are being funded and put together to put you out of business. Someone like Sheila came in and got involved in our industry and said, whoa, 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 whoa. There are some faults in this industry, no doubt. But how do we empower the agent? How do we empower them to give transparency to the consumer? Because I think they're a necessary part of this business. And that is why I've kind of put my full support behind someone like her and her company, is because I said, we need more companies like this in this industry. I'm sick and tired of hearing about the next disruptor, the next one that's going to put you out. Like, when are we going to finally understand how emotional and how big buying and selling a home is? You're not connecting a PayPal account and adding a house to a shopping cart. It is the third most stressful thing people do in their life. They're not connecting a PayPal account. They're not Venmoing somebody. Like, they need a trusted professional. Now, keyword is professional. And they also need to know what's happening. There needs to be transparency. And that person, that real estate person, needs to be the core of the transaction. But we have to understand that the transaction and the experience, once again, does not stop at the closing. If they're stopping at the closing and all of a sudden they're becoming free agents, that's why we have this term past client, which is the most ridiculous term in our industry. Okay. Nobody that you work with should be considered a past client. They're active, meaning they're actively buying or selling, or they're actively prospecting on your behalf for someone who will, based on your ability to stay in communication. And that's what we're going to cover today, is what does that experience look like? What does that communication look like? What are you sending them? What are you talking to them? How often are you doing it? All of that nitty gritty stuff that we don't always get into. That's what we're going to do today. So give us your attention, guys. As I said, one more time, I'm going to tell you, like this, share it. We're going to give massive value today. And again, whether you're a client of Mosaic or not, I recommend you are. But if you're not, you're going to get everything for free. Okay. And so that's always the way that I do it. So we always give value. And so with that being said, Sheila, let's kind of get into this. Let's first off just kind of define for you, why did you get into this space? Because you weren't in real estate. I mean, other than everybody's in real estate, you got to live under a roof, but what brought you here?
Yeah. So really the birth of Mosaic was the convergence of kind of two different paths in my life that were happening in parallel. The primary one being that professionally I was in the healthcare space, so hospital management specifically. Got into that after school and worked with a company that, would turn around financially distressed hospitals, spent a lot of time working with physicians, hospital executives, patients. And just through that journey, when I started my career in healthcare to the time that I left was an interesting time, because it was a lot of what the real estate industry has been going through for the past couple of years. A lot of evolution in tech, a lot of changes in consumer expectations. Patients were expecting more transparency in pricing. They were expecting, more focus on the patient experience, different things like that. And then regulatory and like legal pushes in the industry as well to move towards value-based care, to move again towards transparency. So just a lot of the parallels between healthcare over the past decade versus what we've seen emerge in the real estate industry. So have taken a lot of those lessons learned and brought them into Mosaic. But the other path that kind of led to Mosaic was just on the side, kind of as more of a hobby than anything else. While I was in the healthcare space, I was always dabbling in real estate. So some flips, rentals, that sort of thing. Worked with some really phenomenal agents. I think one we even talked about on your podcast, Jared,
Yeah.
that was almost like a life-changing experience for me in terms of the trajectory that the agent who kind of helped make my first deal happen set me on. But there was always friction that I experienced as buyer, seller, investor, cross-country moves. And so Mosaic really came about in, how do we solve for that friction that clients experience? How do we elevate, the experience that they have, the value that they get, but do that through the agent, because it'll never happen through tech on its own. People want, as you were saying, like a trusted advisor, a professional through this massive change and massive event in their life. So
Yeah.
that's really kind of the culmination of how Mosaic came about. And since then, it's just been a lot of iteration working with, agents across the country.
And so you as a consumer, though, you came in and you saw a disconnect between what you experienced in the real estate field compared to what you experienced in the medical field.
Yeah. So interestingly, when we started Mosaic, it was largely just trying to solve my own problems. So there were things that, I would come out of a transaction feeling like didn't happen as well as they could have, or
Yeah.
support that I wish I had as a homeowner post transaction. And so it was, as I kind of peeled back the layers of that onion, it was less to do with the agent themselves. I worked with some really phenomenal agents, and more to do with just the systems and the tech and the digital experience. So that's really how Mosaic started. And then coincidentally, just a lot of the stuff that I experienced in healthcare going through those similar changes in the industry ended up informing like how we built Mosaic, how we constructed it, how some of
Yeah.
these strategies came to be.
Awesome. Awesome. All right. So with that being said, unless there's anything I've missed here, I wanted to just do kind of a brief intro to you before we kind of get into the strategies, but I want to spend as much time on the strategies today. And honestly, I think we've done good. We're 13 minutes in as far as actual talking and whatever, and we're going to get right to it. So do you think we're ready to actually get to strategy? Like, I think we have anywhere between 3 and 5 things we're going to cover today. We'll probably get to like 3 to 4 because they're very practical, very like, they're things that every one of you, a lot of times when I talk about things, I go pick 1 or 2. These are part of like what needs to become your process, right? We've been teaching our students, we launched Jared James Academy at the Advance. And, my message to them over and over has been, how boring can you be in 2025? Because the boring ones are the ones who win, right? People who watch me, they see the 1% on Instagram. They see the 1% on these profiles, and they're like, look at that exciting life. He just got back from Cabo, and, he lives in 2 different states, and he's got this and he got whatever. And it's like, no, you don't know how mundane I am. I am so freaking like just next thing, like just, patterns, routines. How boring can you be? So the things we're going to talk about here are going to be the idea of take these guys, take notes right now. I don't care if you're writing like this or if you're writing like this. I'm buying you time right now to pick something up to take some notes right now. Okay. And what you're going to want to do is pick up these things we're going to talk about and figure out, how do you spend the time in the beginning that turns them into a process that from now on happens over and over and over again with almost no time from you, because that's where the success is. Okay. And so with that being said, you want to get into, I don't know where you want to start or which one you want to do or whatever, but can we get into just some practical, like,
Yeah,
what do we do here? You want me to show
let's
the
do it.
slides?
Can you throw my slides on?
I will. And again, guys, everything that we show you today, especially when we start getting into like the verbatim, what email goes out, what message goes out, that stuff, we're going to give you at the end a thing where you can get it all for free. Okay. So you don't need to write that stuff down. Okay.
Awesome. Are my slides up, Jared?
Your slides are up. Yep.
Awesome. Okay, great. So I'm going to jump into the strategies in just a second, but I think one of the things that's like important to understand is, why will these strategies work, and why will similar strategies work? And really, what is it that makes a client decide if they're going to work with their agent again, or if they're going to refer their agent again? Because that's really the nexus of everything. We want to get and tap into that piece of kind of the consumer psychology to make sure that these strategies are effective for everyone. And, really comes down to the same reason that any of us decide, why we'll go to another restaurant again, or why we'll renew a subscription, or buy something again. And it really comes down to value. Is the client getting enough value that makes them want to come back? And we've heard this term, I think, thrown around a lot in the industry, especially the past year, at the heels of all these changes that have occurred. And sometimes it can feel a little nebulous, like what really is value? How does a client define it? How do I know if I've provided enough value? So we've spent a lot of time at Mosaic, both between consumer research and just really chewing on this question. And the conclusion that we came to was, value is ultimately like, what is the client's perception of the experience and the outcome they had working with their agent relative to their investment? So if they feel like their experience and outcome was less than the investment they made, they didn't get what they paid for, then you can pretty safely assume that they're not going to be sending referrals or repeat business your way. If they feel like they kind of got what they paid for, everything equaled out, then there's a good shot at retaining that client, but it's certainly not guaranteed. But if we can stack this equation in a way where the client feels like they got more than what they paid for, their experience and outcome is better than their investment, and in this case, the investment being the commission, then you're all but guaranteed that they're going to bring business back to you and that they're going to be working with you again. So
Sheila,
everything.
can I challenge you a little bit there?
Please.
So when we say, I love it, please. That's like when someone gets interviewed goes, that's a great question. That means I wish you didn't ask me that. So when we say the experience, they're just about guaranteed they're going to come back. Mm-hmm. Our statistics, and this is going to go somewhere good, so don't worry, but our statistics don't support that. Meaning that our statistics say that a high percentage of people, almost 90% at the time of a closing that are happy are like, I'm going to use my agent again. And then the ones that actually do are, between 11 and 13%, depending on the poll you look at. The point is, it's really high to really low. So my question to you, or more so my comment to you, is when we say the experience is great, so they come back, this goes back to the transaction doesn't stop at the closing, it starts at the closing. Where does that experience begin and end? Because I think a lot of people who hear that, they think in their heads, they listen to it and they go, oh, the experience while buying and selling. Mm-hmm. And I think what we really need to define is like, wait a second, though, that experience did not end there. And it's one of the things I love about your tools, that it doesn't end there. So can you kind of define that a little bit?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. In fact, those stats are getting worse year over year. In 2023, there's some studies that show that 8% of sellers that listed their home didn't work with the agent that helped them buy it. So 92% of buyers didn't use their agent again in that scenario. So you're totally right. Like, experience and outcome during the transaction isn't in most cases enough, because even if you're going above and beyond during the transaction process, even if the client feels like they're having a wonderful experience, the reality is that in most cases, they're correlating that with the investment that they're making. So there's always this feeling of, well, I'm paying them to do this, right? Like, they're supposed to be doing this. I'm paying X amount in commission.
Yeah.
So where there's this huge opportunity and there's this asymmetric advantage for agents is that the investment, that being the commission, for the client, that ends at the closing table. So they've already paid that commission. But the ability to deliver on a good experience and continue to deliver good outcomes does not end at the closing table for the agent. In fact, there's even more opportunity to do that because, if I'm buying or selling a home, I may be working with my agent for a few months, maybe if it's a complex deal like a year, but I'm probably going to be a homeowner for 5 to 10 years.
That's right.
So, and as a homeowner, there's always something that I'm going to need, right? Whether it's my home insurance is going up, I had a DIY project gone wrong, which happens to me a lot every time I go a little crazy on Pinterest. There's some kind of project coming up. There's always something. So when an agent can tap into this post-closing, you're able to stack this equation in your favor, just asymmetrically, to the point where you're almost always going to fall into delivering more than what they feel they paid for. And that's where, you were talking about reciprocity earlier, Jared. That's really where reciprocity kicks in. It's human nature when someone gives you something to feel like you want to give back. And that's how we get that repeat business and those referrals locked in.
Right. And that is before we get into, because I know we're about to go to slides and get into like your actual points of what it is that, you should be doing for people. The fundamental shift that I want everybody as we move into that place to understand is that you as the advisor, you have to stop thinking of yourself as the advisor for the transaction and think of yourself as the advisor for home ownership, meaning that the home ownership extends. One of the things I love about your tool is that your app is not just used by the agent, the broker, the team leader, the whatever. it is used by the homeowner and it becomes their source for home ownership for everything they do. So everything they're doing on there and everything they're thinking and everything they're whatever, the agent is the source, and it goes on and on and on. And so when you talk about that reciprocal relationship, they're looking at you all the time, whether you recognize it or not. They're getting value from you all the time, whether they're recognizing it or not. And there's a feeling of not only reciprocity, but also of guilt. It's like this agent's doing so much, like they're in front of me, I need to use them. Okay.
Yeah.
And so we have to think of ourselves not just as an advisor for the purchase or the sale. We're the advisor for home ownership, which continues post-close.
And I think if you demonstrate that, like if you're showing the client and you're telling the client, hey, I'm still your agent, I'm your go-to for everything home, they're going to believe that and they're going to tap into that.
Right.
If our, process and the expectations we're setting are, I'm just your agent for this transaction, then that's how the client is going to perceive it as well.
Correct. All right, so let's get into it. Let's just literally go like, point by point on specific things you think people should be doing post-close, because I know that's the question of the hour. What are the best opportunities to be staying in touch, providing value, staying top of mind so that you really realize that lifetime value?
Absolutely. So the strategy we're going to start with, the black book strategy, this is probably the one that we're seeing gain just the most steam rapidly. And really what this is all about, as a homeowner, there's always something that needs to be fixed. There's some project that's coming up. There's something that needs to be handled through some form of like a home services vendor. And most consumers are going to Google or they're going to similar sites. And a lot of the time, the vendors that pop up on Google search or on any equivalent site, these are, your bigger shops that have invested into SEO, into local ads. They've, invested in their online presence. The handyman that's super reliable, but doesn't have a website, the cleaning service that's reasonably priced, but maybe doesn't have a strong online presence. These types of vendors that you're coming into contact with as an agent in your day-to-day, these are people that consumers want to get in touch with and don't have an easy way of doing that because online search just isn't optimized for that.
By the way, Sheila, as you're talking about this, for all of our people that are listening that are in our academy, we call that our core 100. Okay. So that's our list of 100 different businesses or industries that we need to be connected with, that are just as committed to us as we are to them. And we have a whole system we use as far as how we stay connected. What I love about your tool is it actually puts it into an app and lets you see everything and lets you whatever. But my point is it's kind of taking the core 100 and putting it on steroids.
Yep. Yeah. So what we do in Mosaic to kind of showcase that vendor network and to make that an asset for the agent is within Mosaic, we have a module called Concierge. And this is where, the agents who use the platform can display vendors. They can remove them, add them anytime. The client can go into an app. They can access this at any point in time. And so therefore they're coming to their agent first whenever they need something. But you don't need Mosaic to leverage the strategy. In the playbook, we have the step-by-step. I might not go through every step just in the interest of time. But
and everybody who's just jumping on late, we're going to give you at the end, we're going to give you a way you can get the playbook with all of this stuff, step-by-step, verbatim, everything for free. So don't feel like you have to be screenshotting and such.
Yep. This is something that you can start doing today without Mosaic. And it really just starts with jotting down the vendors in your network. So who are, the handymen, the electricians, the plumbers, you'll see this in the playbook. We actually went through all of our Mosaic data to understand what were the categories that got the most clicks from clients and that got the most clicks right away as soon as an agent invited a client into Mosaic. And so you'll see this in the playbook, but we've got this kind of highest impact list and then just some other ideas. The vendor list doesn't have to be something that is perfect. We see this happen a lot where agents are trying to get, every single category populated with, the right amount of folks, and then it never really gets through to clients. My recommendation would be, start with a handful of these highest impact vendors, jot down their contact information. You could put this in a nice PDF. You could just put it in something as simple as a Google Sheet, and then start getting that out to your clients. Even if you don't have someone for every category yet, that's just a great reason to keep reaching out. So every quarter or every few months, you can send an updated list out. But these are the type of resources that homeowners are looking for and that they're going to perceive as value because, if I hire someone off of Google, I might not be getting the best rate. I don't know how reliable they are. I don't really know if I'm making the most informed decision. But if I'm getting someone that's vetted from my agent and I have a great experience, I'm going to perceive that value as coming from my agent, not necessarily the vendor themselves. So this is where there's this massive opportunity to really turn the vendors that you come into contact with day to day into assets for your business. And for the past clients, so to speak, that you've maybe been out of touch with for a little while. This
And
is
Sheila,
a
by the
really
way, let's be clear. That's why
Yep.
referrals are so popular in real estate, is because
Yep.
you take people having to search and wonder who's good and wonder when they get a referral, they're like, okay, now I got it. Like that's the, whatever. And also to be clear, I know you're not saying it, but like for those that are Mosaic users, this all lives within the app and allows the user, meaning the buyer, seller, whoever it was you worked with and yourself, to actually house it all right in the app, to house the quotes right in the app, to compare them, to do everything right within the app. So this becomes their source for everything. And so when you're watching this, whether you're a Mosaic user or not, you need to be looking at how do I do that? Because that's the next level of experience when it comes to the consumer, is that they live on this thing, which means that your experience and what you're doing with them and the value you're providing makes it a lot easier for them when it also lives on this thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And then if you're not doing it through a platform like Mosaic, this can still happen over email. Create a PDF, create like a Google sheet, put in some of these categories. Just start with the ones you can populate quickly. You can always add more later. You at least want 2 per category though that you put in front of your client. 2 to 3 is kind of the sweet spot,
Right.
because you don't want it to come off as you kind of pushing them in a certain direction. But if you've even got 5 or 6 of these categories, 2 options in each one, that's enough to get out to the clients. And you'll find in the playbook the exact templates that you can copy and paste. You'll notice here we have specific phrasing, like, especially since many of the best don't have a big presence online. Some of these keywords we've inserted into these templates is really to leverage the consumer psychology aspect of it. It's not just that my agent's giving me a list of vendors, it's that maybe I shouldn't, trust that I'm seeing everything I should be seeing on Google. So therefore I'm going to save this, or therefore I'm going to look at it. So from the playbook, you can just copy and paste this. You can send the vendor list as PDF, Google Sheet, whatever works. And then, you have a reason to kind of reactivate contact with some of those past clients that you may not be in touch with, or, maybe they're just on some generic drip campaign, because you're giving them something of value. I think that's something we all struggle with, right? Is how do we get in touch with someone without feeling salesy, without feeling like we're asking for something? So if you're giving them something that could be useful to them as a homeowner, especially if they've been in their home for 2-3 years, it's probably time for some form of repair or maintenance on something in the house. So this is where you can follow up with, hey, just want to make sure you received it. And then as you build your list, you can put out quarterly updates or a couple of times a year, even as you remove vendors from the list of, hey, I've updated it, I've removed some folks and put in some ones that I've worked with recently that I think offer better value. When clients see that that's dynamically updating, they're going to have a lot more trust in it, and they're going to save it. They're going to remember it. They're going to come to you for questions as well if they need a vendor that's not on the list. So this is a great way to start building that organic relationship back up, to the extent any of it may have dissipated post-closing. And then also just, that value equation, we're stacking on the experience and outcome side because their investment has already been made.
That's right. Yep. Good stuff. Good stuff. What's the next one?
So the next one is a little bit of a piggyback off of the vendor list. So if you've got a few, home insurance companies, insurance brokers, this one is really powerful. This is something that goes out through Mosaic on an automated basis for the agents who are using it. So we look at, based on the closing date, when is this client's home insurance going to renew? And so we can estimate that a few weeks beforehand, put an email in front of them that says, hey, your home insurance is going to be renewing soon. You might want to shop around for new rates. We'll usually plug in like the vendors that are in the agent's recommendations in their concierge module in Mosaic, and this goes out automatically. And in the playbook, we've got this script. You could do this manually, just, use the same language, plug it in, put in, a couple insurance vendors, their names, emails, phone numbers, and send this out. This is one that gets a really high open and click rate across all of our different client retention email campaigns. And the reason being that, home insurance rates are going up, especially if you
This is a popular one right now. Like this is a big deal for a lot of people right now.
Yep, absolutely. Especially if you're in a state like Florida, California, it's going up dramatically, but really across the country, that seems to be the pattern. We're seeing insurance companies pull out of certain markets. So
Yeah.
whoever's holding their policy today might not be renewing it next year. Sometimes you just forget it's going to renew. And then you get, especially if they're paying for their home insurance through their mortgage company, then they get hit with like a surprise bill and it's a scramble to go find a new policy in time. So this is really where, you can save them some money, best case. And worst case, you're still reminding them of something that's important for them to have on their radar as a homeowner.
Right.
So this is where, again, we stack that equation of delivering that good experience and outcome, but it's also reinforcing just psychologically that like you're still their advisor. You're still looking out for them. They may have already paid you the commission, but you're still looking out for them. And that's really how we're going to start to tap into reciprocity at a greater degree. So if you're going to run with this one, all the directions are in the playbook. You're going to want to just work backwards from the closing date of that client's transaction, because you want to make sure these are timed right. If you send them too early, it just gets, kind of, I'll look at this later and people forget about it. If you send it too late, then it's not a great reflection. You want to get that timing right. So that's where we try to automate it on our end, but it can definitely be done manually as well. And the playbook will have all the directions on that.
What is the time frame that you actually recommend?
So typically about 2 weeks to 30 days before it renews, somewhere in there. What we'll typically do is if we've got in Mosaic other emails that are going out, we'll kind of sequence them based on order so it can fall into that range. But around that 2 week to 30-day mark, because it's not too far out that someone just defers it to later, but it's not so close that they kind of feel like you got to them last minute.
So just for everybody who's watching right now. So this idea, by the way, this is a big thing in our industry right now. It's a thing that people worry about. It's a thing where sometimes people they'll get their homeowners at the time of closing and then they never look at it again. And then one day, 3 years down the road, they're like, why is this so high? And they start shopping and they realize they could have saved a lot of money. And so this is something that you can do that provides extreme value to people, on a yearly basis. And just to be clear, because we keep coming back to this point, if you're a Mosaic user, this is something that automatically happens, right? Like it goes out. It's to be clear again, the consumer has the app. Like this is their home ownership app, and it's telling them, whenever they want it, what the value of their property is, and what's going on with the homeowner's insurance. And this becomes their app that is branded obviously to you. You're the source of it all. But if you're not a Mosaic user, what you want to do, and the reason why I asked her time frame, is because maybe you're using a CRM or you're using something where you're creating some kind of follow-up campaign for post-close. You would just create a step that was 11 and a half months out, or whatever it is that is activated at the time of close. You would do something like that. Okay. I do want to answer also, because I saw a question in the comments, does Mosaic get rid of a CRM? No, guys, we always say that your CRM is for your leads. Mosaic is for your clients. Okay. And so it's the idea of post-close. Let's keep them coming. Value, value, value. Good stuff,
Yeah,
Sheila.
absolutely. And I think to that point, Jared, like when we think about the drip campaigns that go out of a CRM, it's really all about touch points, right? Because you're taking someone that doesn't really know you very well and trying to turn them into a client. And usually that's done by staying in front of them. Whereas with clients, they've already given you their trust. Now it's all about value.
Yeah.
So all of these items that we're showing here on the strategies, the different ones that exist in Mosaic that we won't have time to cover today, that's all designed around this concept of value points. You can touch a client 30 times, but if they don't feel like you're giving them value, it's not going to matter. And you can reach out 4 times. And if you're saving them money or making their life easier, it's going to make a big difference. Just, personal example that came up maybe about 2 weeks ago. I have a family member who lives in Florida. Her home insurance is renewing in a couple of weeks. It's going up $1,200 compared to the policy last year. And so just out of curiosity, I was wondering if the agent that helped her close on that house.
Come on, you knew the answer to that. You knew the answer. Yeah.
They hadn't. It was a little bit of a loaded question, but they hadn't. Yeah. They had sent a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays text.
Correct. Or the time is changing, change your clocks.
So they had the touch point, that box in the CRM was checked off. And I asked, if she had responded to the text. She's like, no, I was busy. And then I kind of forgot about it. Like I forgot that even happened until you brought it up now.
Right.
Whereas, I posed the question, what if, they'd reached out about your home insurance? And she's like, that would have been so helpful because I didn't even realize it was going up that much until, I got a letter in the mail, which I may not have even opened. Like I just, happened to open it. So there's very real examples of that difference between touch points and value points. And this one in particular, with where we are right now in the world is becoming a pretty powerful one.
That's such a good point. I want to make sure everybody listening understands that it's quality, not quantity. The most common thing I hear from agents when we talk about, lifetime value, no such thing as a past client, staying in touch, is they're like, I'm not even sure like what to say. It's like, I work with these clients and we work together for 6 months. We become best friends. We're driving around in a car together. They practically named their kid after me. And then we close, and it's almost like the closing of the relationship unintentionally, because 3 years later, I run into them in the supermarket and it's awkward because I feel like I didn't handle the relationship correctly. And it's not because they didn't want to, it's because you get lost in life. And then you're like, I don't know what to say. And then it's like, I don't know what to, the things you're bringing up are things you have to think about the consumer, what matters to them, and saving money. And even when you don't save them money, even when they don't go and get new insurance, the fact that you made them think about it and they went, shoot, I've never even thought about that. That is a different touch. And not all touches are the same. Not all relationships are the same. And so now we've talked about vendors, which people are constantly hiring, right? Like, my wife and I are getting a different home in California soon, and we're looking at movers. And it was like, we're looking online or whatever, and we're going, man, I wish we just kind of knew. I wish we had someone who just knew, like, these are the good ones. Just go to them. And so that touches home. Like, I understand that. So we talked about vendors, which you're constantly using for all different areas of your life. And now we're talking about insurance, which renews every year, and people don't even realize they could make a switch. And so we have to think about these things. These are touch points that matter.
And a lot of consumers, when they think about making a switch, they're thinking of like the big names, right? The Progressives, the State Farms, the Geicos of the world. A lot of consumers don't realize you can go to like an insurance broker and there's a lot more, kind of smaller shops that are maybe more curated. Like, in Florida, a lot of the policies tend to be from like Florida specific companies. And oftentimes, they don't really have a great online presence. They don't have a great website. The consumer isn't going to know about them. So
Right.
even just the act of bringing that to their attention, that is value that's been delivered, whether or not they act on it.
It's like knowing a good local lender compared to Rocket Mortgage. And it's
Exactly.
like,
Yeah. Yeah.
no, wait, there's something we can do right here. We have like county specific, like we have, yeah.
Yep. Absolutely.
So good. So good. By the way, guys, just so you know, we are going to hang out as long as we need to at the end to do Q&A when we're all done. I'm just not stopping Sheila as we're going through some stuff, but like, guys, ask as many questions as you want at the end. Okay. Cause like we'll answer whatever you want. Okay. You want to jump on to the next one?
Yeah, sounds good. So this next one here, we call it the impact analysis strategy.
Love
This
that.
is
No
one.
CMA, no Country Music Award.
Yep, exactly. So this is one that you can use on an ongoing basis and that we recommend using on an ongoing basis, but it's also a really powerful way to activate a past client. So if there's someone in your database that you haven't really been in touch with, maybe there hasn't been communication or they've just kind of been on a generic drip, they haven't sent you any referrals, you haven't heard from them in a while, this is a good way to reactivate them. So what this is, what you're looking at on the screen is the version that goes out from Mosaic automatically. Again, you don't need to have Mosaic to act on this. It's all kind of outlined in the playbook for you. But what we're doing here is we do it from the MLS data feed that we get. We're pulling, what are some recent real estate transactions or activity that has occurred within a certain radius of the client's home, usually about a mile plus or minus, depending on the location. And so we're looking at, what are the recent price changes, what's recently sold, what's maybe been withdrawn from the market, expired listings, and so forth. If you're doing this manually, I'd recommend maybe doing like 3 to 4. So maybe a couple of sales, one price change, one, expired listing, something like that. And so
And what are you calling it? You're calling it an impact analysis?
we're calling it an impact analysis. So
So it's
what we're
impact
doing,
analysis on their property. Here are the things that have impacted your property.
exactly. So what we're doing here is laying out, here's the activity that's happened. You'll notice in the verbiage, we're saying, hey, I'm keeping an eye on this, weekly, monthly, regularly, whatever you want to use term wise. I'm keeping an eye on this because these types of activity could have impact on your home's value and your equity. So in that verbiage, we're setting the expectation with the client that I am still your eyes and ears. It doesn't matter that we closed 3 years ago. I'm still here looking out for you. Here's some of the activity that happened. Do you want me to do an impact analysis? Now, this term here is really important to the strategy. a lot of the times we kind of just send a client a CMA to reactivate
Yeah.
conversation, or we ask them if they want us to put together a CMA. And the reality is that, like, especially if you're removed by a couple of years from the buying and selling process, CMA as a term doesn't have like the meaning to a consumer that it does to us in the industry.
Right.
Sometimes you're like, what does that even mean? And other times they may know what it means, but there's not this like urgency built into it because
Right.
there's not an inherent emotional connection to the word. But when you reframe a CMA as an impact analysis, well, everyone knows what impact means, and everyone cares if something really significant in their life, like their home and their equity, is being impacted. So this is a great way to reinforce to the client you're still looking out for them, give them information that they might not know offhand or be easily accessible to them, and then kind of drive a little bit of urgency in the communication. If they are thinking about buying or selling, or even if they're just curious, they are going to respond to this because everyone wants to know if there's been impact to their equity. And now you're getting kind of a two-step punch for this because you're putting out the information and then you're getting that affirmative back of, yes, give me this analysis. That is going to have a lot more weight to it than an unsolicited CMA because it's something the client has asked for, is expecting, and has a little bit of urgency around because now I'm curious, right? I'm curious how this price change might impact me. So you're getting kind of, more value from the interaction than if you were just to put out an unsolicited CMA because they're opting into it. You're still getting that initial touch. You're getting a second touch for the exercise, and they're going to be far more engaged with that second touch. So highly recommend using this for any past clients in your database that you've been out of contact with for a while. And you can also use this strategy with homeowners in your database, even if you haven't like transacted with them. So this is going to work.
Yeah.
Actually, everything we're talking about today is going to work. Just about everything we're talking about today is going to work with homeowners that, maybe it's a seller who decided I'm not going to sell for a couple of years, or it's someone you met organically just through like your personal life who's a homeowner that you put into
Yeah.
your database. You can use all of these strategies with them as well, because now you're effectively becoming their agent before they need an agent.
I love that. And there's something, guys, you guys know that words matter, right? Like I talk about that all the time. Impact analysis, when we talk about how do you re-engage people that you need to re-engage, creates an urgency that is basically the idea of like, oh, something happened here that impacted. This is different. This one got taken off. This one got reduced. This one got, and the truth is that stuff is happening all the time, but it's all about how you frame it when you communicate it to them. So I love the fact that you guys are switching that up. My crew will tell you, the people in our academy, I went away from CMA a long time ago. Like we're not bringing in Zach Bryan for a, whatever. This isn't country music. Like this is, we need different words because they change the way people think about them. Right. And so impact analysis creates such an urgency. I love that because it talks about what's actually happened just recent. And again, we're going to something they care about. It's about their value, their equity, their portfolio, I love that.
And even if they don't respond to it the first time, when something catches their eye, like maybe there's something that's sold really under market, or there's a really nice property that ended up being taken off the market. Whenever there's something that really catches their eye, they will respond. And they're kind of registering in their head that, okay, I can go to my agent if I want to see the impact. And that exact strategy, so that framing, that term impact analysis, day-to-day is most used with like actual activity happening nearby, but you can take that same framework and apply it to so many other things. So if there is a change in market trends, so change in days on market, a lot of the time you see agents kind of putting out stats, like here's the average days on market, here's what inventory looks like, but there's not always a correlation to like, what does that mean to me as a consumer? It's just kind of a bunch of numbers on paper. So you can take those same exact stats, and when there's a change in one, let's say days on market goes from an average of, 75 to 90 or something like that. You can put that in an email. Hey, this is what happened in your market. Do you want me to do an impact analysis? Or if there's a shift in inventory.
How does this affect you is what you're saying. Like that's great that happened. How does this affect you?
You're informing them of something that happened. So even if they don't respond, they're getting that information from you. You're enforcing yourself as the expert and as someone who's looking out for them. And then if they're curious, they engage, and you get that second opportunity to show off your knowledge.
By the way, Sheila, real quick, before you move forward there's an important point there too, because you said sometimes they engage, sometimes they don't. We've got to understand that great marketing and follow-up in these things, many times it's an over and over and over and over again. And then all of a sudden they pop and they come at you. I had a guy message me the other day and he goes, hey, I've been watching all your stuff. I love it, man. I've been watching it for years. How do I get in the academy? And I engaged back with this guy, and I was like, because I'd never seen his name before. And he's like, no, I've never commented on a video. I've never liked anything. I've never this, I've never that. He goes, but I always look at your stuff because you always provide so much value. And we have to remember that sometimes we're providing great value at a time that someone's not ready to pop yet. But it is our job to stay in front, stay in front, stay in front with valuable information that keeps them engaged, whether they engage or not. If they thought about you and it mattered to them, they engaged in their head. And it's just a matter of time. So the more strategies you can think of like that, the more you're going to win.
Yeah, even this example, most Mosaic users who use this template are doing it on a monthly basis. And so even so a client who's like thinks they're in their forever home, they're not going to sell anytime in the next few decades, they might just skim this, right? They're probably not going to respond because they don't really care all that much. But then let's say something, maybe their family grows, or, unexpected move is coming up, they get a job across the country, something changes. Knowing that they're going to be getting this from you every month, they're going to be kind of looking out for it as they start to think about maybe making a move. And so when that's top of mind, they're going to click. But if you're continuing to deliver that value and put that offer out there of, hey, I'm here for you, if you need me to do any analysis, if you need me to do anything, then they'll activate when they're ready, but they will be watching for it. We hear that similar to what you described, Jared. Like we hear that all the time of, I was looking at your content for years, or I was looking at your mailers for years. I was looking at your emails for years, and now I'm finally ready to reach out.
And now so you guys Mosaic is pulling that automatically and sending it out on a monthly basis. They have control over whether that happens monthly or that happens, when that happens?
It can be weekly, monthly, quarterly, on demand. Monthly tends to be the most popular.
Just based on your research?
Yep. And just based on what most people opt into and what happens most frequently.
With the other stuff going out, you don't want to overwhelm them. You want to give them value, but you also want them to know what's going on.
You're effectively getting 12 unique value points in addition to everything else. Some folks may opt for quarterly if it's a client that's a little bit more unlikely to transact personally themselves. Maybe there's someone who's like truly in that forever home, then they might opt for quarterly. You can adjust it based on a client, and then you can kind of have a default, but monthly tends to be the most popular.
I had a question come in from someone, and they said, how are you getting them to use, if you're a Mosaic user, how are you getting your clients to use it? Just to be clear, guys, we're not covering this today, and this isn't Sheila talking. This is me talking to kind of answer that question. There's so much more that's happening within that app for your consumers. Like right from the beginning, they're doing search in there. When offers come in, the offers are coming into Mosaic. You're sorting them, you're putting them, you're getting rid of ones. They're getting used to using that before you ever get post close. So I won't go deep into that, but I'm just giving you a heads up.
Piggyback off of that, Jared, like even if you're bringing your client into Mosaic post-close and you haven't been able to build that habit early, everything that we're showing on the screen displays in the app and goes out as an email. Because the reality is, it's nice to have the app. You will see clients engage with it when they need it, but it's not like Instagram where they're going to be coming into it every single day. Right. So we can push this out to them via email. And that's where you'll see in the playbook, we're kind of giving you like the email version of everything, because if you're doing it manually, that's where you're going to want to drive it from.
Do we have time? So I know we have a couple more. And again, all of these are going to be in the playbook. We're going to give you all for free. Do we have time to do one more? Can we do one more?
I think maybe one more. And I think number 5, we may not have time.
We'll save as a secret for the people who have the playbook. There you go. Yeah.
That'll be in the playbook.
We'll do ultimate internet marketing. There you go. The secret.
So this one here, the annual review strategy, this is in the playbook. You can just copy and paste. This is the exact template we use that goes out to clients on behalf of our customers, and you can take it and run with it. What you're going to want to do is sequence this out through the year. You don't really want to time this with their property anniversary, because if you're using these other tactics, they're probably getting the home insurance renewal and some other things as well. Typically about, 3 to 5 weeks post property anniversary tends to be the sweet spot for the annual review message. So what this message is doing is setting it up where you are telling the client, hey, it's time for us to have an annual property review. You'll notice, based on what's on the screen, and if you read this template in the playbook, you'll notice we're not saying, here's why you should do this, or like, this is why it's important, because we don't want to say that. We want to make it seem like this is something that should just be happening, the same way that your doctor probably isn't going to justify to you why you should come in for an annual checkup. Your dentist isn't going to justify why you should get your teeth cleaned. You kind of just know you have to go in and take your car for service. So we want to set, this is really where we're going to tap into some consumer psychology here, but we want to set the expectation that this is just something that should be happening. When you set that expectation, by sheer virtue of doing that, whether the client responds or not, you have separated yourself from like 99% of other agents because
100.
most people don't do this. So it's setting that expectation. This is something that should be happening. This is something that I'm doing. So any other agent they work with, talk to, or their friends and family work with probably isn't going to be doing this.
Yeah.
And then this list here of it saying during this review, we're going to go over these following items. So I'm going to kind of give you guys the secret sauce behind this, but property valuation, market analysis, these two things, that's basically just a CMA. If you put a CMA together, go over it with them, you've hit items 1 and 2. Tax implications. So typically, if you're aware of any proposed property tax increases, that sort of thing, maybe any kind of like special assessments, that sort of thing, you can go over that here. If you're not, you can just let them know, hey, nothing on my radar. And then these items 4 through 7, portfolio diversification, long-term goals, risk assessment, investment opportunities. This is a really fancy way of just teeing you up to be able to ask the question in the review meeting of, hey, what are your real estate goals? And so if, the client says to you, I want to buy an investment property in the next 2 years, or, we're looking to grow our family and we want to trade up to a bigger home within the next 3 to 5 years, or, my parents are getting old and I really want to bring them in to live with us and consolidate, our real estate holdings. Whatever they say to you, now out of this review, you have the ability to, if it's a longer term goal, organically check in on it and ask about it at the next review or in between, just kind of depends on the timing. And if it's a shorter term goal, you have the ability to essentially tee up the next transaction. So, hey, you want to buy an investment property in the next year? I know we're a year out, but why don't I set you up on a search just so we can see as, opportunities hit the market, just in case a deal comes up earlier, we can start like vetting what type of properties you want. Now you've basically, in a value-driven, strategic way, inserted yourself into the next transaction. And you're doing it in a way where you're not just this one-time transactional agent. You're essentially their portfolio manager and their portfolio architect. And
By the way, Sheila, the people in our academy know I love that word. We need to talk to people about their portfolio because portfolio assumes multiple properties.
Yep. And when I think like as a consumer, when you think of your real estate holdings as a portfolio that needs to be managed and architected, then you're, unlikely to use like, your neighbor's cousin that just got licensed. You're going to use a true professional who's also doing all of these other things. And then I know we're running out of time, Jared, but just very quickly, I'll inject in here. If you, decide to run with this strategy, not everyone's going to engage right away. But again, just setting the tone that you offer this is in and of itself a differentiator. And then for the ones who do engage, one of the best practices we always recommend to our customers is if you have this property review meeting, then towards the end of it, just kind of throw out there, hey, if you have any friends or family that are homeowners, even if they didn't buy or sell with me, I offer this property review at no cost. I find that it's really helpful for people. So, feel free to send anyone my way or let me know if you want me to put any reports together for anyone in your, friends, family network. Yeah. And then, what we recommend to our Mosaic agents is when that happens, enroll them into Mosaic and all the stuff, make them your client. If you're not using Mosaic, you can do that in other ways, but.
So good. So good. All right. So I know we have another strategy, but we're just going to put that in the playbook. Guys, I see you all putting your emails in the comments. We're going to give you a second, the link where you can go download it because we are definitely not sending the people from Mosaic to grab every email out of this thread and have it go one by one. That kind of defeats the whole purpose. So before I do that, first off, guys,
if I could just quickly add something, Jared. So this strategy is going to be in the playbook. We've got a total of 5 in the playbook, all the DIY. We've got maybe another 20 or so we use in Mosaic that are not included in the playbook. So whether you're a Mosaic user or not, if anyone ever wants to get in touch or get some of the recipes for the other things, I'm always available to the community.
Awesome. All right. So a couple things, guys. I'm about to give you the link to download the playbook. That's 100% free. I told you in the beginning, I'm going to give you an offer for any of you that want to use Mosaic. I'm about to give you the most ridiculous offer you've ever seen from Mosaic that nobody's ever gotten, but we'll get to that in a second as well. We're also going to hang around at the end and do Q&A. So you guys can put your questions in. We'll answer your questions. Because, first off, kudos to Sheila, because she's telling you, obviously she owns Mosaic and she's going, I love for you guys to be a part of Mosaic, but kudos to her for saying, hey, even if you don't, here's some strategies, here's some free stuff, here's how to, we're very aligned in that. It's like, whether you use us or not, here's value. We want to help you get better. And whether you end up working with us now or 20 years from now, we're just going to keep giving value. And so kudos to you. I'll give you a virtual clap right there. So thank you, Sheila. I do want to say, though, that for those of you that actually are considering, because I know I've seen the comments and you're like, hey, I want to use Mosaic. What does it cost? What's this? What's that? This is a little ridiculous. Okay. So Jacob, if you want to put the link in the comments, and you should probably keep doing it because it's probably going to go away. This link right here, I know it's a little bit longer, so check it out. Here's what we're going to do. Okay. For any of you that actually want to use Mosaic, you are literally, and this is the only place this is being offered. This is the JJ deal right here, because I want our people on here. Because
it's probably
I'm
the only
telling you,
place it will ever be offered.
this is the lowest it'll ever be offered, because the truth is, I'm telling you guys, you're all either going to be using it in 2 years, or you can start now. And they limit in the markets. They're only allowing a certain per market. We already have states that are shut down, okay? Because this is the type of tool that once you start using it, number one, we want it to be an advantage to you that a lot of other people can't use in your market. And it's also very sticky. It's one of those things that, like, once you put your people on it, you're never going to come off it. It's going to be, hey, we learned how to drive cars. We're going to have cars forever. Like, that's how this works now, okay? So if you go to this link right now, for the first 25 people, because it's 2025, for the first 25 people, you're going to pay an implementation fee of $625, which is going to cover that MLS connection, the white glove onboarding, all of that stuff. And then if you guys are ready for this, you are not going to pay a monthly fee for 6 months, okay? Now, this is the definition of what we call a loss leader, meaning they're literally not going to charge you for 6 months. They want you on there so that you can see what happens when you do. And I'm going to stress it one more time to you guys. You're all either going to be on here in a year and a half, or you're going to get on now and not get shut out, because they are already limiting in markets and already have markets that are shut down. So it's going to be a $625 implementation fee, which is, again, there's a connection to the MLS that they have to pay for. There's white glove onboarding, where they're literally going to walk you step by step on the whole system. We didn't cover hardly any of it today, but I can't stress it to you guys enough. This is the future. Transparency with your consumer, where they can actually log into their app that is built around you, that shows them everything you're doing, has all the documents. They can upload documents. All the offers come in through there. All the post-close stuff is handled. This is not just the future, it's where it is now, okay? So that link you see there, and I believe that link's also being posted in the comments, depending on how you're watching this right now. I know it's a longer one, so just take it down or type it in. The first 25 people, you are only going to pay $625, completely tax write-off, by the way, because it's for your business. You are not going to pay for 6 months. That is absurd, okay? So I just want to be clear about that, okay? So there's that link for that. Now, for the people who want the playbook, I'm assuming that most of you right now would like to see the playbook. Let me show you that real quick. This is the link for the playbook. It's 100% free. I'm going to say one more time, kudos to Sheila and the team, and just saying, look, whether you're a client of ours or not, we want to give value. Okay. So everything she covered, plus a couple of things we didn't cover, is going to be in that playbook. So all of you that said, I want the slides, that's the playbook. Okay. So just go to the link that you see right there, that is now displayed below me. I believe that Jacob is also putting it in the comments as well. Depending on how you're watching, I think the main place he's putting is on Facebook. So if you're watching this on somewhere else, just come to my Facebook and you'll see it there, or just try to get that verbatim. That's in front of you right there. That's how you get the playbook, 100% free. There's nothing else you need to do. I hope you guys end up becoming users, because I think it's good for your business. I think that in the world that we live in today, the ultimate answer to everything that's going on, the ultimate answer to disruption, is understanding that we need to eliminate the idea of past clients. There's no such thing. It is just clients for life, lifetime value, the number of times they use you, the number of times they refer you. And this is a company that not only handles, the process during, meaning they set your people up on search, they bring everything into your place, they give them an app, they give them transparency. But for the purposes of this training right now, post-close. takes it out of your hands and says, we know what we're doing. Let us do this. The value in that to you is mind-blowing. Okay, so there's the link for you guys for that. I'm going to get to questions. I'll leave this link up
Can
for
I
the
throw
first
out
25.
one
Go
small
for it.
strategy with 30
Oh, we're
seconds?
throwing up another strategy here.
Just throwing out there. This one's not in the playbook, so this is just for the folks that are listening.
All right,
But
let's hear it.
if you're going to run with any of these strategies, whether it's through Mosaic, whether it's DIY, whether it's through any other form, one of the things that I would highly recommend you do, this is something that we work on with our customers and have started working on with them more over recent months. With your buyer guide, your buyer presentation that you take to prospective clients, your listing presentation, include in there a section or a page about how you provide the two kind of keywords we've seen go over well are lifetime support or continuous care. And then document how post-transaction, they're going to have access to your vendors. They're going to have, you're going to be monitoring their home equity, their neighborhood activity, tracking things like cost saving opportunities. That's where the home insurance and that sort of stuff comes in. We'll typically see our customers just use screen grabs out of Mosaic to visually illustrate that. If you're going to create your own assets to do this using the playbook, you could use snippets of those. But everything that we talked about today kind of is a double whammy, because you can use it with the people that are already in your database, but you can use it as a way to differentiate yourself and market yourself to clients and to new leads that you're trying to win business with. So
Awesome.
It can serve you in both ways.
Can you do something real quick? Can you put up the slide for the first 25 people to sign up? I'm going to make that big on here because there's a QR code. So I'm going to give you both QR codes right now, guys. And then we're going to start answering your questions, including people are asking what's the cost after 6 months. So if you could put up the one for the limited time offer, if you're watching this on a computer, you can scan this QR code with your phone right now. That'll bring you right to the first 25 people, 6 month free. But that's, again, guys, that's a ridiculous, like I can't even explain to you. That's a loss leader, meaning they're not making money. They're losing money on that. So there's
our contracts are month to month. I mean, we do have an annual option for anyone that's interested, but they're month to month. So, if we don't earn your business back so
you're saying even after 6 months, it's month to month.
Yeah, absolutely. So if
guys,
we don't earn,
that's an important thing to understand, guys. Like you're ridiculous if you don't just go try it for 6 months. Like that's absurd. Okay.
If you don't earn your business in these 6 months, you can leave no additional financial.
Sheila, we need to talk about that. You need a minimum year contract. Anyway, so there's your limited time offer. So like if you're watching this on your computer, you can scan that with your phone. If you can real quick, Sheila, go to the next slide, the one that has the one for the playbook to download absolutely. It. Download the playbook. Also, that's the same link that we put up. That's kind of a longer link. If you'd rather just scan it with your phone, there it is right there, or just screenshot it right now if you're watching this on your phone, and then you can go back to it later. But there's that right there. I want to get to people's questions. Guys, this is I see someone say this is a no-brainer. Guys, I don't know what to tell you. Like, you've never seen me bring someone on before. And look, my prerequisite was tons of value. I have to believe in you. That's ridiculous. And that offer is not going to last. Okay. Like that is 6 months, no cost, pay the implementation fee because they have fees that are involved. And then there's no annual contract. What are you doing? Okay. The only thing I would tell you is that if you do this, which all of you should be doing this, when you do this, do not just sign up and then not put your clients in and not put guys, this is worth so much to your business. Take advantage of it, put in the initial work, and you will see the benefit from that. Sheila, can you show, people are asking what the monthly is after that. Can you show a screen that shows that?
I'm going to have to stop sharing for just a second so I can switch tabs.
And I see your guys' questions, by the way. Someone's saying the link's not working for the playbook, but it might just be them that it's not working for. Let me just go double check. Let's make sure, because it could be, guys, there's too many people going to it. That does happen sometimes, is when you have a mass of people going to a link. No, it works for me.
It might be the QR code. I think, Jacob, if you can just drop the link in the chat. I see someone said we broke the internet.
Look at that. We broke the internet. We're like Kim Kardashian's butt.
I can get the
open up the one. I love, Sheila, you didn't laugh at that at all. You're in the
I
zone.
didn't see that.
Hear it.
I was trying to get the link. Here, I'm going to drop it. I can't put it in the chat for some reason, but I'm going to drop it in the private chat.
You don't talk about the photo where they put the wine on the back?
Jared, I just dropped the link to the playbook in the private chat. Maybe we can put that up on the screen, or...
Okay. 1 second. Let me go over here. Banners. Is it the one it was before, right?
Yep, this one.
Boom. There it is. Yep. There's the playbook. Yep. And again, links for both are in the
Yeah, once
chat.
you put in your information on the playbook link, it might take a few minutes for the playbook to come through, but just keep an eye out, and then we will make sure you get a copy.
All right. Do you want to put up a thing on what the monthly is afterwards? And again, guys,
Yes.
there's no contract, there's no nothing. So if you're not doing the 6 months, you're out of your mind. But you want to put up the
Yeah. So this is how our pricing works. And I also just want to preface, I think I saw a few people in the chat who recently signed up for Mosaic. So just, if you're one of those folks, feel free to shoot us a message and we'll honor today's offer for you. But that said, in terms of pricing, so once the 6 months are up, the way we charge at Mosaic is per seat. So a seat being like a member of your business or your team. So an agent, a transaction coordinator on your team, an admin assistant, that's what we would consider seats. Clients, email campaigns, searches, transactions, everything we do in the system is otherwise unlimited. We want you to be able to use this as much as possible and grow your business through it. So if you decide to take us up on today's offer, there's a one-time implementation fee of $625. What this is going to cover is essentially the cost that we incur to add you to our MLS license or to set up a data feed. And
by the way, someone's asking if it turns out, because you have most MLSs, but if it's an MLS you don't have access to, will their $625 get refunded?
So if it's one that we truly cannot connect with, typically the implementation fee is non-refundable. If there's a special circumstance like that, then we're happy to work with you on a refund. But you're welcome to reach out to like our sales team beforehand if you want to confirm. But we'll
So in
always.
other words, if you can't connect to the MLS, because sometimes you'll have someone who maybe you don't have access to, but now they signed up and you're able to reach out to the MLS and say, hey, let's connect. And now they'll connect.
Yeah, so say that happens. There's really two scenarios. Either we decide not to move forward, and while the fee is normally non-refundable in that specific circumstance, we'd typically be, able to refund that. Or, there's a lot of the capabilities we've talked about today, and a lot of the ones we haven't talked about yet are kind of independent of the MLS too. So you'll kind of have an option on how you decide to proceed, but we'll be working hand in glove with you through that. So it's not kind of a black box.
Yeah, someone said once we sign up, how does onboarding start to happen? Like basically your team reaches out to them and says, let's set up a time?
Yep, absolutely. So there's going to be an onboarding session. We're going to kind of go over any next steps related to the MLS, how to backfill the past clients. And then it's a tailored kind of white glove onboarding. So we're there for you depending on how much or how little support you need. Some of our customers work with us really hand in glove, and we strategize on their transaction templates, which campaigns they want to turn on. We make edits to the campaigns if there's, like kind of localized nuances that we want to put in. And some folks kind of want to do a lot of that on our own and just have us on standby if they need help. So whatever you prefer, we're here to help, but it's going to be a white glove onboarding. Our goal is to make sure that you are able to fully utilize and leverage the system. So that's really how that process will work. And then once the 6 months are up, hopefully in that time frame, we've earned your business and we're able to generate more opportunities out of your database. If you're feeling good about it at that point, the monthly fees will kick in. If you're a solo agent, it's $125 a month. That includes everything. And that gives you access for up to 2 people. So if you're a solo agent and you've got a TC or you've got an assistant, that $125 covers you both. If you're a team, small, medium, large, essentially 3 or more people, you're looking at $175 a month for access for 3 people. And then each person thereafter, so say you have 5 team members, the additional 2 are going to be $35 per seat per month. So at 5, you're looking at 175 plus 70. I think it's like 245 or something. I hope you're recording this, and I feel like
The
my
math is correct. That is correct.
Okay. Ooh, I was really stressed when I was doing that for a second. But that's essentially what it equates to. And it's only ever charged on the seats. There are no gating of features. There's no utilization tiers. We want you to use as much of the platform as possible.
Someone asked, because I want to get, okay, first off, because I'm going to get these questions here. Can you show one more time the QR code for the offer? Can you show that real quick?
Yes.
Throw that up. I'm going to show the QR code for each one more time, and then I see your guys' questions. We're going to get.
Are you able to see it? Oh, wait, hold on.
I do not. There we go. So there's the limited time offer. So if you want to scan that, you can go for that. Someone said, do our clients have to download the app?
No. So it's accessible via web browser as well. During the onboarding process and any time thereafter, we're available to work with you on the strategy of how do you engage your clients. There are certain emails and things you can do outside of the system to get clients engaged. So we'll help you with those scripts and all of that. They don't have to download the app. Certainly, if you can get them to do it, then it's going to make it a little bit stickier, but they can log in anytime. And all of those different things we looked at today, like the home insurance renewal and that sort of thing, all go out via email.
I was going to say email and in the app. And then, you know, as I said, the app is extremely valuable. It's got not only pre-closing a ton of stuff that they're doing, but post-closing your vendor stuff. And there's a lot of things going on, but there's ways throughout though, that we're not covering all right now to be doing to get them to start using it, to get used to using it, to get, you know, those things. By the way, those of you that were like, what's the link? What's the link? We're putting this QR code up. It's also, if you keep looking in the chat, it's been posted several times in the chat. For those of you that were like, the link isn't working, just keep going back and doing it. It's the curse and the blessing of having a popular training is that when you have everybody going to one place at once, that's just what happens. If you could now, so that's the link right there, the QR code. Can you now give the QR code for the playbook for those that are not going to be Mosaic users? Just so you know, guys, when you sign up for Mosaic, you'll get the playbook as well. Okay, so you don't need to do both unless you want to, but download the playbook. There's that QR code.
And if for any reason, if you're not able to get the links or you're not able to get through via the QR code, if you email us, you can email me directly at sheila@mosaic.io, SHEILA at Mosaic, MOSAIK.io. Maybe Jacob can do me a favor and drop that in the chat as well. Happy to get any of the links over to you, and also just happy to answer any questions. We
have a great question right now, actually. Steve Dozier asked, what is the limit for clients to attach to Mosaic? And is there a monthly fee to our clients?
Nope, no fees to the clients, no cost to them whatsoever, no cost to your vendors either. All you're paying for is per seat. So if you're just one agent with a TC, you're paying $125 a month. That's it. Whether you've got 500 clients or 5,000 clients. If you're a team, you're just paying for each member of your team. You are not paying based on utilization whatsoever. We want you to be able to bring in as many clients as possible because we want to see you turn those into deals.
So no limit on number of clients you put in there. No limit
whatsoever.
Okay. What if they particularly have multiple MLSs in their area? How does that work?
So we can typically work with more than one. We have many clients who have 2 or 3. To some degree, it will depend on the MLS. If that's a newer one, or just each one has its own different rules. If you have any questions about specific MLSs, you're welcome to reach out to our team anytime.
Does it cost more for them to sign up with you when there's multiple MLSs?
Typically, no. Just with few exceptions, if there's like specific MLS processes, there's some MLSs that will like charge a fee to the agent or that sort of thing. But generally, as long as there's not some extra exorbitant cost that comes with that, we include that all in the implementation.
Okay.
I always have to put a disclaimer because every MLS is super different, but for the most part, we rarely need to charge anything extra.
We got a great comment here from John Downey. He said, can I just make a comment on the service that Mosaic offers? Their onboarding program and after-sale service has been incredible. I've been working with Caitlin and Maddie. They're always there to immediately address any issues or questions. I've had A+++++.
I'm so glad to hear that. I will say that
means they keep their jobs, right?
Exactly. If you guys do decide to move forward now or in the future, when it comes to the onboarding process, there are some intricacies to this because we want to make sure the data from your MLS is right. A lot of times customers come to us with their past client data in a lot of different places. So we might have to help consolidate that to backfill people in. But as just part of the implementation fee, whatever goes into that, however long that takes, whatever your schedule allows, we'll always try to move as quickly as possible. But we'll be with you every step of the way to make sure that all of these pieces connect. And when they do, that's really where you can kind of set it and forget it, and we can get just value delivery going on autopilot for you. So I'm glad to hear that John's having a good experience, and of course, I'm always available to anyone as well.
Link seems to be working. Are vendors added? Like when vendors are added to the list, are vendors like within the app, or how does that work?
Yeah, so vendors are added in the app. We actually are releasing an additional feature on this. So for any of our Mosaic users that are on this webinar today, you'll be hearing about this from us soon. So historically, you would invite your vendors into Mosaic, and that is still the best practice of letting them know, hey, I'm going to invite you into this app for my clients. I'm going to put you in front of my client database. And that works in 2 ways. It's favorable to your client because they can then use Mosaic to like request quotes. Yes. So if I'm looking to get, my house repainted, I don't have to reach out to 3 different people separately, wait for them to get back to me. Mosaic can handle all of that. And then when you're inviting them in, we can more effectively track how many of your clients have engaged, which then gives you the opportunity to go back and maybe negotiate discounts for your clients or that sort of thing. So that is still very much the process in Mosaic. That is still the best practice. But understanding that, some of our customers are not always in a spot with every vendor where they have that rapport built yet. It might
Correct.
be a newer vendor or that sort of thing. We are releasing a secondary pathway within our concierge vendor management module that allows you to just publish the information. That's going to be a little less interactive, but it's still going to be all in one spot, and you could always invite them later. So as our use cases have expanded, we're trying to stay agile and keep up with that. But long story short, you can invite your vendors in. There is no cost to them. There is no additional cost to you. And in the coming weeks, you'll have the option to publish information only as well.
Awesome. To answer another person's question, no limit on number of clients you can put in. What's the easiest way to, is there an integration, or is it just a download of an Excel sheet? They said, integration from current CRM to upload contacts.
It's typically a CSV. Our onboarding team will help with that bulk upload so that you're not having to go in and do it one by one. And then during your onboarding process, we will strategize with you on the best way to move that data over.
That's part of that white glove. You guys, that's one of the first things you're going to be doing. It says, are we able to upload previously closed clients so they can utilize the impact analysis going forward?
In fact, that is one of the first things that we are going to want to do. That's actually something we've kind of tweaked our onboarding process as well to focus a little bit more on that upfront, is get your past clients in. We can start activating them and kind of moving them from potentially being lost clients to transacting and referring again. As soon as we get them in, we can start all of these processes. So that will be one of the very first things that are going to happen during the onboarding session, is we're going to talk about how we can pull that data in, coordinate with you on that, kind of get your different email campaigns set up, get that going. And then we can bring in current clients either in parallel or, as a secondary effort, whatever makes sense for your business and your schedule.
Rapid fire, a couple more questions here. I'm taking a couple weeks off for a reason. Can I activate mid-February? Meaning, can they sign up and then activate mid-February?
So if you want to move forward, but schedule-wise, you're not able to start the onboarding right away, go ahead and use the link to sign up, because we're not going to be running this promo again. But
plus you're going to have to get everybody signed up. So it's rather put them at the back of the line anyway. So that's
right. So when you get your onboarding email, you can just book your onboarding session out. We will start that clock once your onboarding session is scheduled. So if, for any reason, if our onboarding schedule fills up a bit, or if you're busy and you can't get this going for a couple of weeks, go ahead and sign up. We'll start the clock when you have your onboarding session.
A few more rapid fire. Can we assign a second user, like an admin, have them handle things?
Yep.
Okay,
yep.
absolutely.
So that would be considered a seat. So that would be like a billable seat on the plan. If it's just you and an admin, that's already included in the solo agent plan.
This is a good one. Does this run beside .loop, et cetera, or replace it? Because we didn't talk about this, but you guys have.
Yeah. So this is
you guys have your documents in there. You guys have your,
This is a nuanced answer. So either or, I guess, is the short answer to that. We have a fully integrated e-signature capability. You can use Mosaic in lieu of .loop, or you could choose to run them in parallel. If you already use .loop, then you could just upload copies right into Mosaic. Everything within Mosaic is modular. So even if you said, you know what, I don't know if I really want to start using the search right away because I'm really used to what I'm doing currently, but I at least want to get my past clients activated, we'll leverage the MLS feed for your past clients, and you can roll on a search whenever you're ready. Everything's included, but it's not an all or nothing. We have, some of our customers use everything. Some of them use pieces of it. Everyone uses it for the client-facing side at the very least. So to answer the .loop question, you could potentially replace it. I think to some degree, there's a little nuance there, depending on if your brokerage requires you to use .loop or your association does. So I don't want to give an all-encompassing answer, but from the process of, templating forms, requesting e-signatures, that all exists within Mosaic.
Do you sell, share any client info?
No, absolutely not. So if you decide, at the end of the 6 months or 6 years from now that we are no longer the fit for you and we haven't earned your business back, then, that's why so many of our plans are month to month. You should absolutely cancel us if that occurs. And if that happens, your client data is removed from the system. It's expunged from the system. The only thing that we are retaining is like statistics. So we will keep the fact that you added 5,000 clients, or that they clicked on our email campaign 700 times, or that you ran 500 transactions through Mosaic. But we will not be keeping any of your data, your files. Everything's encrypted, and everything is purged shortly after cancellation.
Awesome. We already answered this one. How do we get all our clients? You're going to get reached out to, white glove service. What happens if we're not affiliated with an MLS? If that happens, can it work if you're not affiliated with an MLS, or no?
Yeah, it still works. So you can we have a transaction management suite that's designed to be collaborative. You bring your clients in. That's one of the ways you're going to make the platform really sticky for them from the get-go. We have all of the client retention features, the vendors. If you don't have an MLS, or if you don't want to connect with your MLS right away for whatever reason, then really the only impact is you just won't have the property search. And then the impact analysis won't go out with like the property details. We might be able to pull that from public records depending on the area that you're in. So we'll always try our best to make everything work for you. But the vast majority of the platform is going to work independent of the MLS, whether it's because you don't want to connect, or because maybe you're not ready to switch your primary search over.
The next question was answered by Jacob. They said, are there any tutorials I can watch before the onboarding call? And he put a link below from your guys' site where it's mosaic.io/get a demo with dashes, but it's in the comment after. Someone had said, I'm so excited and just signed up. Love this. Pumped to get cranking with Mosaic. Can we get Sheila's contact again, please?
Yes, absolutely. If someone can drop it in the chat for me.
Oh, you know what? It's already in the chat. It's literally the one right below. Sorry guys, I just saw it.
I'll give you guys my cell number as well. If
you are something. You are something. Guys, just so you know, I will not be giving out my cell number next.
Jared, if I'm delayed in responding to you, you know what I just.
You are out of your mind.
I would recommend text though over call. I'll be able to get back to you a little bit faster, but feel free to call as well if that's easier. That's going to probably be my slowest way of getting back to you. Email and text the fastest. But if anyone wants to reach out to me directly, even if it's not about Mosaic, like if you just need any help implementing these strategies, or maybe you're working on strategies yourself and you want to just brainstorm, I think that's really how Jared and I kind of connected and made each other's acquaintance and kind of bonded over recent months, is over this whole past client thing. It's something that we're, I think, equally passionate about. So I love just talking about it. So if you need any help with anything ever, now or in the future, my cell number is 760-490-7235. Feel free to text me anytime, call at your own discretion. You might not hear back right away, but text you will. And then my email is
Tom is dying over here right now. Tom, you think you'll ever see me just be like, my number is like, you're out of your mind.
I guess one more time is SHEILA@Mosaic, MOSAIK.io. So this is our website right here. So it's just going to be SHEILA@Mosaic.io.
You know what I love about this is that I'm sitting here and I see more questions, guys. I'm going to get to it. But like, I'm over here telling everybody, guys, this is the future. This is where it is. And what I love about it is that the future is just finding a way to go deeper on relationships and go deeper on staying in front and go deeper on, it's not 90 apps in 90 minutes and, all this other kind of stuff. So I'm just thinking about this as we're talking right now. And I love that. Someone said how long to get the playbook, guys. Check your promotions email and check your spam. Because whenever something's getting auto sent out at scale, many times it shows up in your spam or your promotions.
If you don't get it, I'd say within the next hour, just drop me a note or drop a note to our sales team, sales@mosaic.io, and we'll make sure you get a copy.
Is there a confirmation email that goes out after they put their payment in for the $625?
So the next email they'll get is going to be from our onboarding team within the next.
So if they didn't get one immediately, don't worry.
Don't worry. If you
because I get people saying I don't have a confirmation email. Am I signed up?
Signed up and you saw a message that said, thank you, our implementation team or onboarding team will be in touch. You are good. Like, we've got your information and we will be in touch with you within the next day.
Perfect. Was this recorded? Yes, guys. The reason why I stream these and I don't make you register for a webinar is because when I stream them on Facebook and Instagram and these other places, they automatically, the replay is right there afterwards. By the way, Corinne said she is awesome. How about that?
Oh, well,
Talking
that
about
means a
you.
lot.
She's talking about
Hopefully
you, Sheila. I mean, come on.
I had to think for a second who we were talking about, but I appreciate that, and hopefully I can,
I know. I was looking at your response, and I'm like, they're talking about you. Someone said I kicked myself
we
for
might need to
not.
do a volume 2 of the playbook, Jared.
Oh, there you go.
We've got
Oh,
more
there's
strategy
Scott. I
words to
kicked
share.
myself for not signing up at the advance, and I'm not missing this chance. Another person signed up. Signed up. Thank you. Um, yeah, guys. If you paid, you're in. You're good. Someone said she's a baddie. All right, guys. I'm gonna let you guys go. We'll look at these. If I know Sheila, she's a nut. She's gonna be looking at these comments. I've given up on these things as far as afterwards looking at the comments, but you're probably gonna be in there in the middle of the night looking at the comments and replying to people. So we're gonna let you guys go. If you have more questions, put them in the comments, okay? And we'll go from there. But
And if anyone is on here that signed up recently before this promo, please reach out to me so we can honor today's offer for you as well.
yeah, yeah. But hey, one more time, guys, if you want to just throw a thank you in the comments for Sheila for coming on. And again, I want to make this very clear. Although she's making an irresistible, ridiculous offer, she's saying to all of you, even if you don't use Mosaic, here's some behind the scenes secret sauce that works. And so I love that. You guys know that that's the kind of mentality that I've always come at this with. So Sheila, you're the best. Someone said I missed her number.
I'll say I can repeat it one more time. It's 760-490-7235. Reach out to me for anything you guys need, questions, Mosaic questions, playbook questions, general strategy, or if at any point in time there's anything we could be doing better for you. If you're a customer, feel free to reach out.
There you go, guys. Now you have the contact info for a tech founder in our space that you'll probably be reading about in the headlines for the next couple
And
of
that's
years.
my only number. So like that's the same one my mom calls me on that Jared texts me on. So you know how to find me.
Look at you. Wow. I love you. All right. Awesome. Guys, we're going to go. We'll check all this stuff later. I hope this was helpful. Again, whether you took advantage of the offer or not, you're insane if you didn't. But even if you didn't, I hope you got a lot of value. Get that playbook, guys. Do the boring work. Be the most boring version of yourself you can in 2025. If you want to win ultimately. We'll have more stuff coming up. I do want to make sure everybody knows, those of you that are in the academy with those new rules that are coming, what's called TCPA or TPCA, I forget, with like calling and texting and what's allowed and all that kind of stuff. We've got an announcement coming real soon for our academy members. That'll be the closed academy members. I'm going to do a special training where we do nothing but cover exactly what's changing, because it's a big change coming as of January 27th. And what you need to adjust to make sure that you're safe, that you don't do anything you're not supposed to do so you don't get fined, where the opportunities are. We're going to do a whole thing just for our academy members. So if you're in our academy, just know that you'll be getting a notification on your app soon, your Jared James Academy app, and a message real soon about making sure you're registered for that. And we'll get you guys ready. Okay. So I want to make sure you guys heard that. One more time, Sheila, thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun. I appreciate it. Thank you, Jared, for putting this
hour and a half training. Look at that. All right, guys, we'll talk to you. We'll see you soon.
Thanks.